So I'm John Stinson. I'm the owner of the Recording Conservatory of Austin and Stinson Recording Studios. I'm also a music producer and engineer as well.
And how long did it take for you to start up this business?
Sure. I started Stinson Recording Studios in 1993. And so that's a little more than 20 years. And the Recording Conservatory of Austin has been around since early 2002 or 3.
And what would you recommend for someone who's trying to get into this kind of career, especially like
Sure.
your best advice, sort of?
Be willing and ready to work really, really, really hard.
Okay. And how do you feel about women in the music industry, especially as a sound engineer and producers?
No, that's a great question. Interestingly enough, it's a very low percentage.
Yeah.
You're probably talking about maybe 10% or less. And but some of my most successful students are women. So, don't think that it's, the one thing that you have to consider is that as engineers and producers and in the studio, when you're hired to do products, you have to take command of a room. And also it's technical. So it's like working on cars almost, you know what I mean? It's very technically oriented. So those two things, I think, shy women away from the gig. But when a woman's the right person for the gig, they get the gig and it works. So, like I said, don't, if you're into that as a female, you should definitely do it. You will get gigs. People are going to hire you. It's not like they won't hire you, but you definitely have to be able to command the room and know the technical stuff.
Okay. And then kind of away from the people that make it happen, how would you advice for a band who's trying to get a recording done? How would they come into a studio and be able to get something done and be successful?
Right. So the question I'm assuming is, what is the secret to becoming successful as an artist?
Yeah.
Right. And there's no simple answer to that question, unfortunately. And really, if you were to boil it down to any one particular thing, it is your job as an artist to be great, okay? And I know that's very broad and very general, but you have to be great, and you have to be great at everything until other people get so interested in what you're doing that they want to help you. And so if nobody's helping you, you obviously aren't doing something great enough yet. And so it's your job to then write better songs, perform better, do better gigs, promote yourself better, and if it's not happening for you, then do it better. So the answer is, at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to be so great at what you do that other people want to help you.
And then I guess my final question would be, is it good to go to a school such as the Austin Conservatory?
Conservatory?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Obviously we run the school, so I'm going to definitely be in favor of that. But aside from that, remember, we're a trade school. So different schools have different pluses and minuses. If you want to try and take a stab at being a music producer, engineer, songwriter, then I think that this is the quickest way there, is to come to a trade school like this. In a year and a half, you're going to be up and running, you're going to have some clients, you're going to have a business plan, you're going to have a website, you're going to have the skills, you're going to be on a path to start building a career in this particular business. If you want to have a 4-year degree and be able to get a job somewhere, then you need to go to a 4-year degree program and do that type of thing. So they're just very different in the types of education. But sure, if you don't already know, if you're not already doing it on your own, then coming to a school or a trade school is definitely going to help you, no doubt about it. That's what you pay for, is this huge acceleration over a year and a half, being force-fed and brought up to speed so that you can jump right into the industry and start going.
I have 2 more things.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry, it's your final message, because it's teens basically that are watching, so it's not maybe some young adults. So what would you recommend for them? Yeah.
I would say for somebody that's young, teen, just about to get out of high school. I think the big deal is, I personally think the hardest thing during that time period is figuring out what you want to do. And when you do find out what you want to do, then you need to do that with all your heart and soul. And I would be very careful about what you pick. because 10 years from now, you're going to have a car, you're going to have maybe a wife or a husband, maybe some kids, and you're going to be stuck in whatever job you're in because you're going to have to make money at that point. So if you didn't like your job and you stayed in it anyway, you're stuck now. So that's why when you're 20, you find something you love to do and then you develop a career in that. Because then when you get in your 30s, you're doing something you love. It's like being in a great marriage at that point. And so bottom line is pick and find something you want to do early on. Take the time. Don't rush into something. Don't rush into a job or something that you don't like and stay
I
there.
have a curious question.
So,
that popped up.
yeah.
For teens that are like still in high school, what are opportunities you would say they should get into? Like if I'm trying to like learn more about music, I go to a festival and try to volunteer. What events would you recommend someone to go to kind of learn more about it?
I mean, if it's this particular business, right?
I would like in general, like if they would want to be an engineer.
Right. I think if that's the case, and this to be an engineer, songwriter, producer, I would be interacting with anybody that is recording, making recordings, mixing, mastering, a buddy who's performing, live sound. I mean, I would be going to everything, interacting. There's probably people in y'all's high school that are probably pretty good at things.
Yeah.
And so if some of these guys were really interested in engineering, they'd be hanging out with those guys. No matter what, even if they didn't like them, they'd be hanging out with them. Just so that they could learn and interact with them. And so then eventually that turns in, those people become career people eventually. And so you should be hanging out with and interacting with the people that are doing the same thing.
So make connections at a young.
Oh yeah, you should be. I mean, and interestingly enough, if you're really into it, you're going to do that anyway. You're going to do it naturally. But if you're sitting around going, "What do I do today?" Call the guy who's a great drummer, and you go hang out with them, and maybe have a rehearsal and do a show, and then do a something. You know what I mean? Just get into it and start doing it. Yeah.
I think
All right.
that's it.
Thanks a lot.